Welcome, everyone. Let's be totally honest here. Human nature basically wires us to run away from hardship, right? Like, if something hurts, our first instinct is just avoid it. But today's explainer is diving into this deeply profound, honestly kind of counterintuitive idea from a fascinating text on the art of choosing your struggle. We're actually going to skip the fluff today because we have some incredibly powerful concepts to unpack together. We're going to look at how we can actually take control of life's inevitable pain and literally use it as a tool to forge the lives we truly want.
Okay, let's dive into this. What if you could actually choose your pain? I really want to challenge your baseline assumption right out of the gate here. Because, we're so conditioned to think of pain and suffering as just things that happen to us, like unwelcome guests that just crash our party and ruin our plans. But the source material we're exploring today completely flips that script. It suggests that, okay, sure, we can't avoid suffering altogether, that's just life, but the specific struggle and the specific pain we experience, that's actually heavily based on our own choices.
Passion, it is the willingness to suffer. Wow, think about that. We throw the word passion around a lot, don't we? We say, oh, we have a passion for art or business or helping people. But the text makes a really striking point here. True passion isn't just about what you enjoy doing. It's really about what you are absolutely ready to struggle for. You only truly become passionate about a cause when you completely accept the inherent hardship that comes along with it.
Section 1. The inevitability of suffering. Let's get into it.
So to really understand this, we have to start by acknowledging a hard truth. Suffering is just an unavoidable reality of being human. But the magic happens when we realize our experience of that suffering depends on a massive dichotomy. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact point. On one hand, you've got meaningless, unexpected suffering. This is the pain that just smacks you when you've been drifting, just letting life happen to you. But on the other hand, we have intentional, chosen struggle. This is proactive. When you choose your struggle well and actually get comfortable sitting in it, you aren't somehow magically eliminating future pain. Instead, you're grabbing the wheel and drastically changing how you'll experience it.
And that brings us perfectly to this absolutely crucial definition: delayed gratification. The text emphasizes that we really must struggle for meaningful intentions now so we can experience long-lasting happiness and fulfillment later. By actively choosing to struggle today, basically by getting comfortable with being really uncomfortable for a specific purpose, you are literally training your mind and body. You're building up the exact resilience you're going to need to handle those inevitable, unexpected curveballs in the future with just incredible efficiency.
Moving right along, Section 2, choosing physical health. So here is a roadmap of what we call productive physical friction. To actually make this work, we really have to lean into the effort. We must struggle to wake up early for the meaningful things that matter, even when ignoring that 6 a.m. alarm feels like literally the most painful thing in the world. We must struggle to endure self-induced pain, like a really heavy workout. Because let's face it, choosing to sweat genuinely sucks in the moment, but it makes us so much stronger. We must struggle to choose a salad over a burger to feed our bodies nutritious foods. And we must struggle to push through and do what matters even when we're sick or just in a terrible mood. Now, is any of this easy? Absolutely not. But it is all chosen.
And there's a huge, immediate payoff to this discipline. We basically trade the short-term pain of waking up to an alarm or sweating it out in the gym for the profound peace of aging gracefully with far less illness later on. The source makes it crystal clear. You absolutely cannot avoid the natural aging process. There's no escaping that. But by doing the hard work now, you suffer significantly less from preventable physical and mental disorders down the line. You're essentially paying a really small price today to avoid just a massive bill tomorrow.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, choosing mental fortitude.
Because, our physical bodies aren't the only things that need conditioning. Building an unshakable mind requires just as much deliberate effort. And it starts with the struggle to do small daily rituals consistently. It's not about one massive, heroic, one-off act. It's about what you do every single Tuesday, which then naturally develops into the right habits over time. And as those habits start to form, well, the next challenge is keeping the promises you make to yourself, no matter what. It's about deeply respecting your own word. Ultimately, this all builds up to taking full, unflinching responsibility for your decisions and whatever consequences follow. Stacked together, these micro habits build absolutely massive mental fortitude.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly frames our modern digital diet. Think about it. The vast majority of our attention should be a struggle to consume content that actually improves our knowledge and brings us closer to our true passion. Minimizing those unnecessary diversions like binge-watching TV or endless scrolling takes up just a small fraction of our bandwidth on paper. But wow, it represents a massive mental hurdle. It's a real struggle today to curate your attention. But doing so means you suffer way less later from that awful realization that you might have wasted your life's purpose just staring at a screen. We actually see a super similar dynamic with our resources too. It is genuinely painful to resist the temptation of endless consumables and all the modern luxuries of today's world. I mean, an impulse buy is incredibly tempting, right? And most of these things are really nice to have, but they aren't absolute necessities. But here's the trick. By embracing the small pain of self-control right now, you're planting the seeds for profound financial security and the absolute freedom to spend on truly meaningful purposes tomorrow. And honestly, perhaps the most vital mental struggle of all is this one: facing your fears and risking failure to reduce the pain of regret later. The source really urges us to struggle to do the things we are terrified of, but that are absolutely necessary for our own growth. And yeah, you might have to go through the sharp, acute pain of embarrassment or, a temporary failure. But trust me, that is incredibly cheap compared to the dull, lifelong ache of regret. Let's look at the relational side. Section 4, choosing relational growth. Human connection is wonderful, but let's be totally honest with ourselves. It is often messy. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. If you can just embrace the struggle of letting go of your ego to say sorry and dismiss the trivial things, the payoff is absolutely immense. You will be respected, understood, and truly loved. If you can sacrifice, say, an extra hour of sleep to be patient with your kids and family, despite a wildly busy schedule, the payoff is a rock-solid foundation of strong relationships and shared values. And hey, if you can struggle to limit your time with negative people, even if it's super tough to pull back from close connections, it saves your precious energy for infinitely better things. Because during testing times, you are inevitably going to face opposition, discouragement, and negativity. That's a given. The true relational struggle is flat out refusing to drop your standards just to please others or to avoid a little conflict. Leading by example, being upright, and giving true value to your relationships is the hardest precisely when it is the most important. Bringing it all together now. Section 5, the ultimate payoff. Struggle for the right values to have a stronger identity. So, the crucial point is, this is the unifying message of everything we've uncovered today. Look, life is entirely unpredictable. We simply cannot avoid the pain that comes from uncontrollable circumstances, things like illness, loss, or economic downturns. However, by actively struggling to build strong values and a solid identity right now, you are basically building an armor. When the storm hits, you suffer less. Why? Because you know exactly who you are, and you won't be forced to make huge, painful, soul-crushing compromises just to survive. Here is the clear pathway the source lays out for us. Step 1. Choose your daily struggle. Wake up early, eat right, face those fears, apologize when you know you're wrong. Step 2. By doing these things consistently, you systematically build confidence and courage. You actually prove to yourself that you can handle hard things. And step 3, when the inevitable, uncontrollable tragedies of life occur, you suffer less. Not because it doesn't hurt, it absolutely will, but because you are unbroken by it. You have the deep, ingrained resilience to manage yourself efficiently. And that leaves us with the absolute most important question of this entire explainer. Which struggle will you choose today? Will you just let the random pain of life dictate your future? Or will you proactively choose the struggles that forge your passion, your health, and your character? The choice and the struggle is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there and choose your struggle.